Greetings, peoples of planet Earth and others, and have you ever dreamed of being hunted for sports? You may think that's a weird question to ask, but I've been on the internet long enough to know there's a demographic for anything, so I figured it's safe to inquire. Well, if you did, then jump enjoy, my strange little friend, because I have here something that might just satisfy that obscure desire of yours. Introducing a survival stealth game called Sir, You Are Being Hunted. I love this game already because it just validated my gender identity. Completely unprompted too. I didn't even have to state my pronouns to it. I'm a very happy little boy. Some may say the title is sexist because it centers men as the main demographic, but I say that it's trans-inclusive because it worked out for me personally. And if Reddit taught me anything, it's that I am the only person that matters. Now, I've been somewhat obsessed with this game ever since I first laid my disgusting little pupils on it. Not in the sense that I would draw fan art of it or anything, which is the highest badge of honor for me, but more so in the sense that it would just quietly exist in the crevices of my autism-riddled mind, occasionally popping up to remind me of itself and inspiring me to try and actually play it. Only for me to spawn in, shit my pants, and immediately uninstall it because it's too scary and I can't do it. Then a few years later, remember it and repeat the process in the exact same way all over again. Some definition of insanity. Out of all the time I've spent messing with this game, I've never actually beat it or even made any tangible progress with it. It only takes for me to die once to decide I hate this game and I never want to touch it again. Thank God I'm not like that in real life. I don't just give up after I die. And this is not a satisfying relationship I have with this game, mind you. I am not content with how it keeps drawing me back in only to spike my heart rate to the point of nearly killing me. I don't like this game. In fact, I kinda hate it. If you watched my Pumpkin Panic video, which if you haven't, you should, it's a really bad video and you should watch it so you can make fun of me, but I mentioned there that I don't like difficult games, and I consider stealth games and first-person shooters to be rather difficult, due to my persistent medical condition called being a little piss baby-itis, which compels me to freeze up and lose all cognitive function anytime something slightly scary happens. And I consider things like small talk with grocery store clerks to be something more than slightly scary, so that should give you enough of a hint as to how I might view something like the prospect of something trying to kill me, even in a video game. My mother taught me about manifesting, so now I can consume horror media without assuming it will 100% affect my actual life somehow. Now, the key to being good at stealth games, in my opinion, is that you can't be dummy thick. Is that you need to be able to think quickly on your feet. And I'm just biologically not built for that. My brain is located in my head, not in my feet. And so the moment I start panicking, I turn into a total imbecile. So by all means, I'm not good at video games when you're being haunted by anything and thus require you to react quickly and smartly. I either freeze up when I need to run or start running when I need to freeze. My go-to strategy seems to be do whatever will get me killed faster. Point a gun at me and tell me hands up and I'll start doing the Macarena. I do not think fast under pressure. I fail to think at all. And Sir, You Are Being Carnally Assaulted is, just as the title suggests, a game where you are constantly being carnally assaulted by robots with shotguns. Hot, but also quite stressful. So by all means, I should hate this game with a passion, right? All it does is stress me out, and I don't like being stressed out in video games. I prefer my stress raw and real, so I should be staying away from it like the Mormons stay away from sex. But instead I stay away from it like the Mormons claim to stay away from sex. I just keep on soaking myself in this game. Call me Bella Swan, the way I keep rushing into a relationship that is just not good for me. So, do you remember when I said exactly 1 page ago that I hate this game? Well, that was a lie. I actually love this game quite a lot, enough to make a whole video about it, because this is honestly a pretty damn good game, and contrary to what Reddit has taught me, my personal ineptitude is by no means a valid reason to bestow hate upon it. And I find it kinda weird that I never hear anyone talk about it. Even despite having one of the gods of YouTube like Jacksepticeye play it, this game feels oddly obscure. And do you remember when I said I find it weird that no one talks about this game exactly 1 sentence ago? Because that was a lie too. I actually don't find that weird at all, because honestly, there isn't much to talk about with this game. Now's the part where you look at the length of this video and laugh at the irony, but I can assure you that's just my nature as a professional yapper. I can talk for hours about paint drying if I feel like it. And if I were a bit mean, I could compare this game to watching paint dry, just with extra anxiety, because it's pretty straightforward and surface level, as well as rather repetitive. In this game, you play as a random sir or madam, if that's how you roll. No option for gender-neutral players, unfortunately, and not because non-binary people don't exist, but because they're smart enough to not end up in a situation like this. Your character has no name, no backstory, no money, and no bitches, and they proceed to get bullshitted by plotting to a random archipelago of a post-apocalyptic Britain, or, as most people like to refer to it, Britain, which is overrun by aristocratic robots whose only pastime is hunting humans for sports. This is what no internet does to a motherfucker. And your goal in this game is to, first of all, not die, which is easy enough, I already do that every day, and find your way back home by collecting pieces of a strange device and bringing them back to this rock thing, referred to as the Standing Stones. Nailed the name, honestly. Those are indeed stones, and they do be standing. Wish my parents were this good at naming things, then maybe I wouldn't have been settled with Bobby Bullsack Face as my legal name. So that's the premise of this game. It's a first-person shooter stealth experience with horror elements. You basically roleplay as a rabbit with enough cognitive ability to fight back and comprehend the dehumanizing dread of being seen as nothing but a hunting trophy that still has the audacity to breathe. And I think this is where the issues with "Sir, you are being rapidly killed" comes into play. Because with that description, we've pretty much covered all that the game has to offer. Kind of. Now with most games, forgive me, I'm about to be really annoying, while it is possible to boil down their premise to a single sentence, it would usually do so at the expense of whatever it is that is actually interesting about the game. Like, for example, if you were to describe Undertale as a game where you fall down a hole full of monsters, which was my nickname back in college, and try to find your way back home, that wouldn't be an incorrect description, but it would be omitting all the important elements that actually give the game its value. Well, the premise of Undertale is little human tries to find their way back home from the underground full of gay people. What really makes this game good and unique and special and the best thing that's ever happened to me are the colorful cast of wacky and compelling characters, the emotional themes and the heartwarming story, and the fact that you can literally beat a boss by serving cunt. That's the most important thing about this game. It may be simple on paper, but it's incredibly complex and holds a lot of substance when you actually engage with it. And the same thing can be said about most games. Dying Light is a game about surviving in a zombie apocalypse while doing parkour. That's the premise. Red Dead Redemption 2 is about surviving in yeehaw times while your horse balls shrink in the cold. That's the premise. And Baldur's Gate 3 is about gay sex. That's the premise! But all these games have a lot more substance to them when you actually play them. The substance which you wouldn't be getting by just reading the synopsis, whether that be in their story, themes, characters, or even just gameplay. However, with Sir, You Are Royally Fucked, the premise is the substance. It's not really leaving out much when you boil it down to just robots go ratata and you go ah ah ah. Or I suppose since they're British, they go ratata. There's no narrative in this game, no named characters, no characters at all really, unless you want to dub the disembodied voice in your head as the companion and write a fanfic in your head about your character suffering from psychosis or something.
It looks like there's something useful in there. Oh, and if you find anything edible, don't look at it too closely.
As well as no themes and no gay sex. That right there is a cardinal sin. I'm taking 5 stars off my review. Every game out there should have gay sex in it. Yes, even Minecraft. Especially Minecraft. And I know what you want to say.
But Space, the games you listed there are all story-heavy games, and not all games need a story to be enjoyable.
And you're right. Judgmental voice in my head. As always, you are correct. Not all games need a story. Sir, You Are Positively Doomed is what is commonly known as a sandbox game, aka a game genre that thrives on having no major objectives and prioritizing player freedom and creativity, and sometimes also not having a story. Other popular games of the genre include stuff like Minecraft, Stardew Valley, Rust, Raft, Stranded Deep, The Sims, Terraria, Don't Starve. Holy shit, that I wrote a really long list. What the fuck? It just keeps going. Why did I list so many? I only needed like 3. Why Why is Yandere Simulator on there? I think I added that as a joke. But you get it. Most of these games create substance by virtue of utilizing the goblin brains of their player base. These games function by essentially giving you a bunch of stuff to interact with and leaving it up to you to make your own fun with it. Here's a bunch of blocks. You can either use them to build a spaceship to go fight the space kraken to free an ancient civilization from its terror, or arrange them in the shape of a wiener. Whatever brings you more joy. These are the games that don't really have strict goals, allowing you to create self-imposed ones to curate your experience to your own personal taste. Sometimes they would give you somewhat of a guideline, like in Stardew Valley you must fix the old community center or burn in hell for contributing to the growth of an evil corporation. And in Minecraft you need to kill the Ender Dragon, but even these are pretty much optional. You won't be failing the game by not doing them, and there is no time limit on getting to them either. When I was playing Stardew Valley for the first time, I straight up forgot about the community center after some time, and I ended up only finishing it by year 3. But to be fair, I was distracted by figuring out how to romance all the good bachelors, which includes people like Sebastian. That's the end of the list. So all in all, these are the games when you are not held back by any major rules or narratives. I mean, unless we're talking about the rules of not dying in the survival sandboxes, but you know what I mean. You can read my mind, I don't have to over-explain myself to you. So that is to say, a game really doesn't need to have stuff like stories or lore or even goals to be enjoyable. Minecraft is a really good example of this because it's one of the most popular games in the world, and it has approximately zero real story in it. I mean, there's enough stuff there to speculate about it, but I don't know how much of that was intentional. And while yes, you can speculate and create more fun for yourself if you enjoy storytelling, even if you choose not to, there's still enough stuff for you to have a fulfilling experience with.
Where the only limit is your imagination.
And vertical slabs. Similar thing can be kinda said about Stardew Valley. While unlike Minecraft, this game does have characters and some lore, like not just speculative, but like dead ass, the existence of the min-maxing community around this game, which prioritizes ignoring all the other elements of the game that is not focused on just making as much money as possible, tells us that the game does have a source of fun without needing to tap into the story. So yeah, a game doesn't require much depth to be enjoyable. It can have that, but if it doesn't, it can do with just having fun gameplay mechanics. After all, games are first and foremost an interactive experience, so they really should just be a fun environment to press buttons and watch the lights flicker in. And yeah, when it comes to Sir, You Are Being Brutally Murdered, it's not a game with any narrative or themes. It's about as deep as a puddle. What you see on the surface is all you get. There's about as much story in it as there is consideration in an average straight man for their partner's sexual needs. It's not like completely absent, but what is there is really nothing to get excited about. The story in this game mainly serves the function of being an explanation towards what is going on. It's not there to deliver any narrative, it's there to deliver exposition. So the question is, does this game have a strong enough gameplay to carry itself without needing a narrative? And the answer to that is, well, I was about to say no. You see, the reason I went on for so long about irrelevant shit there is because I wanted to make an argument that this game in particular really lacks substance to its own detriment. As a kid, I always felt let down by this aspect of Sir, You Are Being Remorselessly Violated. The game really felt like it was aching for a narrative, like it felt like it was missing something. And I was about to make a whole point in this video about how this game is really lackluster because it doesn't have a narrative while it could really use one, and that the gameplay in this game isn't enough to carry it on its own. But then I replayed this game and thought about it for more than 5 seconds, and I figure that, it probably doesn't need a story, and I'm really barking up the wrong tree for suggesting that it's worse for lacking it. The gameplay is honestly fine as it is. It's engaging and tense. Running around and hiding from the robots is really fun without having to know the reason behind their motives for mercilessly murdering you. Yes, the game is very bare bones. It's a pretty straightforward stealth shooter, but honestly, it is fun, and maybe it doesn't need any more substance than it already has, but it does feel like it's still missing something. Like there's a large hole in the shape of a component that is just begging to be filled by something, and that something may not be a narrative, but more so something like gay sex. It's definitely gay sex. Every game in the world needs gay sex. Yes, even Tetris, especially Tetris. But while pondering the question of this game possibly having a story, I had to ask myself, what kind of story would this game even have? And while the answer sounded simple at first, the more I thought about it, the more I figured it probably works best without one. This game doesn't have any named characters except for Mr. Walters, the disembodied voice, which I only discovered has a name because I looked in the game settings, so that was a surprise. But besides that, the only entities you encounter in this game are the robots that are out to get you, or occasionally some wildlife here and there, which obviously you can't interact with because they're stupid. Funny how it didn't run away from me. It just accepted its fate. What a cooperative rabbit. More people should be like this. Besides you, there are no other survivors in this world. You are all on your own with this shit. And at first I thought this is the kind of story this game could do with. Maybe other human characters that you can interact with, team up with, fight back against the robots, or set up factions to plan an uprising to take back the world, or even do gay sex. But then I thought how the game feels without any other survivors, and I figured, that's an oddly specific feeling that this game creates. This game feels barren and empty. Its environments are largely desolate with little to no hints of life. The ambience is ghostly and lonely, with the only sounds that are worth paying attention to are the ones coming from your foes. And while I used to treat this feeling as a flaw, thinking about it now, it may be exactly what the game is going for. I mean, I don't know that for sure, but if it is, then it nailed it. Like, let's unpack this. You are effectively being placed in an environment full of nothing but enemies at every turn. Any semblance of life that could have existed in this world takes only the form of memories, lingering used-to-bes, mere hints that something was here at some point. And now it's all gone. And even those lingering hints are nothing to really write home about. It's all trash, bones, and rotting food. Nothing to piece a story from, nothing to even trick you into being haunted by the past to bring you any comfort in your solitude. It's almost like humanity wasn't just wiped out, it was erased, reduced to a few walls and old bones that don't even resemble their owners. Nothing to really capture the majesty that is humanity. It's truly all gone. And that really adds a profoundly sad and lonely feeling, the crushing weight of sorrow and melancholy, of being completely and utterly alone, paired with the crushing guilt of being the sole survivor of a society you can't ever bring back. And as you're unpacking this, you're surrounded by empty effigies of humans that carry no actual humanity in them and whose only goal is ensuring you join your fellow humans on the other side, which then turns these robots from pure enemies to fight against into cruel mimics of the humanity they've destroyed. It's not just that they're hunting you, it's like they're mocking you. And the environments of the game add to this feeling. The vast emptiness of the islands take on a strangely luminal vibe. The areas don't reflect any actual society or human life that could have existed here. They feel like mock-ups, mere set dressings to imitate a society for someone's sick game. But the countless items scattered inside the buildings create an illusion that life really was present here at some point, and now it's reduced to a mere sick copy of itself. It's a strangely paradoxical feeling of the streets and houses looking fake while suggesting they could have been real at some point. And that's really scary in an oddly uncanny sense. It makes you feel that the entire world around you is effectively your enemy. Not just the robots that are out to get you, but everything. Every house, every tree, every rock, every blade of grass is just there to serve your enemies. You're not a person trying to survive in an empty world. You are a walking target for practice in a meticulously designed arena. Another piece of this uneasy puzzle, existing not as elements of a world, but mechanisms to facilitate this empty feeling of being not just a lone survival in this wasteland, but being an outsider to this entire world. It really makes you feel that you definitely aren't supposed to be here, not just because it's dangerous, but because you're not welcomed here. While your adversaries are just hunting humans, The fact that you are the only human left singles you out in the worst way possible. You constantly feel like the center of attention. It makes the pursuit of the robots feel so much more personal than just pure cruelty. You're being made to feel like public enemy number one, like everyone is out to get you specifically, which is a feeling I didn't need to play a game in order to experience, by the way. It's a really effective apocalyptic feeling, as the only semblance of society that exists in this world is hellbent on murdering you on sight. There are no companions to find in this world, no reasoning your way out of your predicament. You have nothing and no one to depend on besides yourself. And all you can do is run, hide, or fight. Nothing else will do you any good. And that all makes me feel kind of claustrophobic in a very psychological sense. I don't know how to explain that, but it feels like the setting completely erodes any human quality, like our ability to talk, reason, befriend people, or have gay sex, and reduces your behavior to no more than primal survival. And that really doesn't compute, because humanity isn't built on just eating food, fighting predators, or hiding from the cold. We are complex social species capable of morals and philosophy, and by placing you in an environment where humanity isn't more than a cheap imitation, forcing you yourself to be reduced to nothing but an animal trying to survive, makes you feel very, very small. It feels like the incredibly complex and nuanced nature of a human soul is being squished down, compressed and neutered until all there is left is just fear. Pure, utter fear, and nothing else. And not even the complex fear of inadequacy, or cosmic fear of the unknown, or the fear of making small talk with the store clerk, but instead a simple, primal fear for one's own life. The feeling that's almost dehumanizing you, reducing you to all that you are in the eyes of your pursuers. A prey. And that all is truly a wild ass reach, man. Wow, I went on for a while there. Yeah, I am definitely stretching with all that just a tad, but luckily I titled this video Rambling, so I don't have to make sense. I don't have any way of knowing if that feeling was ever intended by the creators. In fact, I strongly doubt it, because the game feels so simple that it genuinely feels funny to try and ascribe any philosophical ideology to it. But my personal perspective on art, and yes, the hunting game can be art, is that it's effectively a body of water. It may hide something beneath itself, or it may be empty. It may be as deep as an ocean, or as shallow as a puddle. But even in the smallest, emptiest of puddles, you can see the reflection of stars if you look right. So I don't care how intentional the feeling that this game creates is. It has that effect on me, and I have to say I love it. And this is a feeling that largely hinges on the game having no story in it, and if it did, it would probably carry a completely different vibe. So even though as a stupid kid I felt this game needed a story, as a stupid adult, it's much easier to enjoy this game as it is. I'm not saying I'm now against the idea of this game having some more story in it. I'm a little lore whore. I always love me some story, so I'm open-minded to it. Depending on its execution, it could create a whole new but equally interesting feeling with it. But even as it is, the game is already pretty damn good. Its gameplay mechanics, while simple, are engaging and fun, and it really doesn't need to be more complex for me to adore it. It's actually been way easier to fully engage with this game as an adult, now that I've had the balls to stick around with this game long enough to learn how to play it and try and beat it. And once I got the hang of it, all the negative feelings I associated with this game became really entertaining. The fear turned to adrenaline, and the loneliness turned into, well, still loneliness, but like bedazzled loneliness. I don't know. I used to hate how liminal this game feels, but now I kind of love it. It makes me uncomfortable, but like in a good way, you know? Yeah, you know, I don't have to explain myself to you, you can read my mind. The process of surviving in this game, exploring the empty areas while keeping your ears perked for any beeping noises, sneaking around trying to find food to not die of hunger, and fighting back against the scary robots is all really fun, even despite its severe lack of gay sex. The robot's AI is really well implemented, and they are sufficiently challenging to deal with, so it's always satisfying when you manage to get one up on them, especially in my case, when it happens rarely enough to feel like an actual achievement every time. Ow. Ow, not in the ass, please, not like this. But with that said, let's talk more in depth about how this game actually functions. Like I mentioned, it's pretty simple, and I could honestly sum it up in one sentence, but I didn't waste 9 years of my life learning how to meet a word count in my essays for nothing, so I'm gonna carry on and keep yapping. You start the game and you're greeted by an opening where a disembodied voice, that's Mr. Walters, respect his name, tells you that you are indeed very fucked. The opening doesn't actually tell us much about what's going on, it just alludes to some experiment that has, as it is courtesy of experiments, gone terribly wrong, and now you're trapped on the archipelago full of scary robots. But don't roll on your back and give up just yet, because there is a way back home, which you can unlock by collecting pieces of some unnamed device, which I'm gonna name, it's Dave now. You gotta collect pieces of Dave and bring them back to the Standing Stones. Oh, and of course, you gotta be careful since
You're being hunted.
He said it!
And that opening is pretty much the extent of the story you get in this game. Like I said, it's all very minimal. You can find books and letters across the world to read that kinda have some semblance of lore in them, but it's all pretty minimal, and I personally didn't find anything interesting to write home about. Occasionally, Mr. Walters will pop back up to warn you of more stuff you need to be aware of in this game and scare the shit out of you.
Forgive me, madam.
Jesus Christ!
But
Don't ever do that, by the way. Scared the shit out of me. I did not expect him to start talking.
be very observant,
Shut up!
madam.
And he also keeps commenting on your progress when you deliver the device pieces.
Excellent. We're making progress. You might survive this after all.
Yeah, I highly doubt that, bro. But that's kind of it. You open the game by the Standing Stones, where a robot is already awaiting you. However, this one is different than the others and won't actually attack you since it possesses a unique quality called being dead. This is here to teach you the looting mechanic of the game, which is the main way you'll be gathering stuff for your survival. When you approach a storage item, like a house or a dead robot body, it will open a menu that will allow you to transfer whatever is inside to your own inventory. And yes, it was imperative that I spelled that out for you. This is part of the way that the game challenges you. Your inventory space is limited with no way to expand it. So even if you find a ton of cool shit, there's no guarantee you'll be able to carry it all. And your inventory is also separated via a grid, with different items covering a different area. So a portion of this game will be effectively spent with you playing stress Tetris, basically. God, my anxiety is really freaking high. Do I have? Nope. Fuck a duck, man. I'd suggest always having enough space saved for the device pieces, because you really don't want to end up in a situation where you need to grab it quick and be on your way, but get stuck having to micromanage all of your dead rats that you saved for some reason. More of the— fuck. Where's the item? Get it. Run. Now there is actually extra storage option in this game. The places where the grid is green allows you to place items inside of it, so you can always select a house or a barrel to be your extra storage space. I'd suggest using these little huts in forests or the back doors of the houses in these mini villages, since that's where the robots are least likely to spawn, and if you get a squire in a village, it'll be easier to avoid its ire, the ire of the squire. Depending on the profession of the character that you picked at the beginning of the game, you'll be starting off with some equipment on your person, ranging from literally nothing to some useful stuff along with a bunch of trash for some reason. As a raccoon, I love that this is here. I need me my trash. The items in this game fall into 5 categories. First is equipable, that being weapons, tools, and items you can use as a distraction. Second is usable, that being food that restores your vitality, which otherwise drops constantly throughout the game, and will cause you health damage when it's low, as well as only allowing you to heal when it's high. By the way, during my playthrough, near the very end of the game, I lost a lot of health in a fight for the final piece of the device and was actively dying, but my game suddenly decided to start freaking out and lagging as if I was running it on a calculator with asthma, and wouldn't let me eat to heal myself, leaving me to sit there to slowly die of a completely preventable death like a loser.
Why is my game so laggy? Come on. Hurry up. Come on, just use it. Why can't I use it? Fuck! Oh my god, this is fucking bullshit. Son of a bitch. This is really fucked up. Why? Why? Just use it. Come on. I'm clicking it. At least now I know where to go.
This experience, however, taught me that my prescribed medication is definitely working, because usually this is the type of stuff that propels me into committing mass genocide in Minecraft. But this time I just got slightly ticked off. Take drugs, kids. The third is dubious, which is rotten and moldy food, and also cat food for some reason. I take offense to that personally. I think cat food is delicious. And this is the stuff that upon usage drops your vitality, so it's kind of useless. I think sometimes it can raise it a little bit, so it's kind of a desperate times calls for desperate measures sort of thing, but based on what I've seen, it causes damage more often than good, so yeah, it's basically useless. Fourth is junk, which is exactly what it sounds like. It does nothing beyond sit still, look ugly. There's no recycling system in this game. Junk is just junk. Utterly useless pixels. Even more useless than my art degree.
Tea is junk? Okay. Funny that a game about being in Britain would say that.
And lastly is mysterious, which are the device pieces. These have a single use of being delivered to the standing stones and taking up space in your inventory that you could have saved up for all those dead rats. Next, let's talk about the professions. There are 7 professions in this game in total, and they only affect what items you'll be starting the game with. None of these professions add like different stats or have any special abilities, which I personally think could make a pretty good addition to the game, but right now the difficulty of this game is only impacted by the items you have access to at the start of the game. There's 2 easy professions, the officer and the gamekeeper, which are the only 2 that start you off with actual weapons to defend yourself with. Or attack people with, whichever definition you prefer. I personally think it's self-defense even if you shoot first. That's what the American police taught me. The gamekeeper is my personal favorite because it comes with a hatchet, the best weapon in the game since it doesn't require ammo, so it allows you to wreak havoc completely endlessly. And it only kills with 2 hits, so it's pretty easy to use. Side note, I don't think it works on all robots. Like, for example, I never managed to get a dog with a hatchet, and I think a rider would laugh at my face if I tried it with him, but the normal hunters go down like mega blocks after a little breeze, and they're the most common enemies in this game, so using a hatchet on them is like slicing butter. It just feels right. Then there's 4 medium professions: the inventor, the cook, the artist, and the old soak, which start you off with some food or other useful items, and for some holy storytelling reasons, a bunch of trash as well. I get the pipe, but who the fuck needs a patriotic crockery just on their person? How much do you have to love your country to keep carrying a dish with the Queen's face on it just in your pocket? I don't even carry my pronouns on me this religiously. My favorite thing about this is that the artist profession just has a single toadstool for some reason. As an artist myself, I can confirm I never leave my house without my toadstool. It's my emotional support toadstool. I also love the description of the artist profession asking if the game about hunting can be art. Obviously the answer is yes. Where else can I roleplay surviving in a robot apocalypse with a single toadstool in my pocket? I also love that the artist has the most stuff in it for some reason, and it includes like 2 whole bottles of booze, which is only 1 bottle less than the old soak, a character whose shtick is being an alcoholic. That is just hilarious to me. It's such a subtle insult and I can't even be offended by it. I also love the implications that since according to the story we got transported into an alternate dimension as a result of a failed experiment, our character just happened to have all this stuff on their person while presumably assisting with the experiment. I gotta respect the balls on whoever decided to bring bear traps and dynamite to their place of work, as well as like 3 bottles of booze. And lastly, there's a single profession of the aristocrat labeled as default, which I'm assuming in Britain is synonymous with hardcore because the only starting equipment you get here is rags that you can use as bandages. Gotta say, I do like that the aristocrat is by far the most inept profession when it comes to surviving the apocalypse. Like, that is such a dig. However, like I mentioned, these only impact the start of the game. Any items that you start with can be found over the course of the game, so I can't say that it has much of an effect on the game's difficulty. Yes, it's a lot easier to start with a rifle or a hatchet since it means you'll be able to defend yourself a bit better from the get-go, but it doesn't really affect how the later portion of the game will be played. That is entirely up to you, how good you are at surviving and how lucky you get with the RNG of the item spawn. I can tell you this for certain, no matter how many weapons you start me with, it won't make my life any easier because I just don't know how to use them to my advantage. You can hand me the best gun in the world and I will die clutching it to my heart. I cannot aim for the life of me. My hands are permanently shaking like I've got a vibrator stuck up my ass cranked up to take me to God. Which, to be fair, combat isn't required in this game technically. Sir, You Are Being Beaten to a Bloody Pulp is one of them stealth games, or as I like to call them, crouch walk simulator. Most of the game will be spent with you crawling around the area while spinning around like a helicopter seeking out enemies on the horizon and trying to listen for their chatter.
That was so smooth. You've been struck by. You've been struck by. Fuck. Not cool, guys. I was glowing. Come on. Ah, fuck my duck. Ah, fuck a duck, fuck a duck, fuck a duck, fuck a duck.
Now, do you remember when I said that you don't actually need to fight these robots a few sentences ago? Well, that was... Can you believe I lied again? Stealth has a very strong presence in this game, and even though combat is an option, it's usually a last resort kind of deal.
Do I go for it? I've taken 2 before.
That
Blah. Alright, I guess I have no choice. Fine, you asked for this. Yeah.
In many cases, it's way smarter to use stealth than brute force given how rare ammo is in this game. If you have a hatchet, it's a lot easier to reliably defend yourself without worrying about running out of ammo because a hatchet doesn't use ammo. But that still won't save you from the ultimate winning strategy of having multiple robots gang up on you at once. In my experience, it's fairly easy to take down 2 robots on your own.
If there's 2 of them, I can take them. In a fight.
In fact, here's a footage of me somehow beating 2 in one swipe like a boss. But anything more than that is gonna cause you some trouble, even with a gun. Especially if your aim is shit from a butt like mine. In fact, I'm not even good at aiming shit from my butt. And the game's stealth mechanic is really well implemented. It honestly feels very realistic. Sometimes the robots can see you from afar and sometimes they don't see you when you're right by them. Which is pretty funny, honestly.
Dumb fuck.
They also respond to sound, and sometimes they have these moments where they can hear you sneaking and turn to look your way, but if you stay still, they won't notice you and just go like, oh, okay, never mind. Like, I love these little moments, not just because it's a huge relief when you're sure you're fucked, but also because I find it funny that you can effectively just gaslight these dudes. There's nobody here, man. It was all in your head. You sound kind of crazy right now. Also, the environments in this game are really well designed to accommodate for stealth. Even despite the fact that most of the locations are pretty barren, there's enough space to hide from your enemy's view. There's curves and crevices of the ground, tall grass, and you can also hide behind large objects like rocks, trees, buildings, or even your mom.
Can I even climb up in here? This looks steep. Come on, embrace your inner mountain goat. Hell yeah, nailed it. I'm the GOAT.
And also, something that I both like and dislike about this game is that there are effectively no safe zones on the entire map. No matter where you go, no matter how well you're hidden, you're always a sitting fuck. Sorry, typo. A fucking duck. There are no areas in this game where robots just can't attack you. No shelters, no blankets to hide under, nothing. Nada. Zilch. The houses in this game cannot be entered. They function as inventory spaces, basically. You click on the door and you get to look what is hidden inside and grab it, but you can't actually go in, which is also how I behave in all my relationships. The safest area on this map are the standing stones and the boats, and note that I said safest, not safe, because these areas are your checkpoints. They're the only place where you can save your progress, and in the case of the standing stones, progress the game by returning the device pieces. However, they're placed just out in the big wide open, completely accessible for any ill-intended chap to just come right out and pump your ass full of lead if they feel like it. So even the places for you to save the game's progress are not perfectly safe from the game's main threats. Well, this is really annoying for someone like me who has a medical condition called crippling anxiety. I'm not actually against this implementation because it further adds to the feeling of tension that this game creates. At no point do you get to feel truly safe. Even if things are going relatively well for you, it's never set in stone. Given the fact that robots move around the map, at any point they can just show up wherever you are and turn you from an atheist to a devout believer.
Oh god, 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 I'm fucked, I'm fucked, I'm fucked, I'm fucked, I'm fucked, I'm royally screwed, I'm royally fucked.
So you can never stay in one spot for too long. You have to constantly be on the move, not just because of the robots, but also because of your constantly ticking down vitality meter. You always need to search for new food and keep your eyes and ears peeled to pay attention to the robots. It's a very effective feeling where you're both expected to take it slow and be patient to not get caught, while also hurrying the fuck up to actually get places. Now, I did notice that robots don't often hang out by the shores for some reason. I wonder why. Like, do these robots have something against water, perhaps? Are they racist or something? And before you tell me that you can't be racist against water, humans are like 70% water, so technically, if you are racist, 70% of your racism is directed at water, so there. But this quirk actually works for us, because this means that usually the places by the boat are mostly free from the robot stare and are thus rather safe. However, that isn't guaranteed. Like, for example, if you're running away from them, they can absolutely follow you down there. It's not like the shore is a magic robot repellent area. They can absolutely show up there to rock your shit. And same thing with the standing stones. The robots can totally appear by them at any point.
Shit. Of course. He's going right that way. It's fine. It's fine. I can wait. Oh my god. There's 3 of them. This is all my sister's fault. Yep, it's 3. Oh my god, are you fucking kidding me, bro?
In fact, here's the time they literally showed up right after I first spawned and killed me before I was even done looting the dead robot. Fuck you if you ever let your guard down in this game. Now, thankfully, they don't seem to have the instinct to guard any of these areas, which would make sense for them to do, or maybe I've just never encountered it myself, but if they don't do that, then it's honestly great because I don't need any more problems. Now, the safest you'll ever get to feel in this game is whenever you find yourself some nice tall foliage to sit your ass down in. I have to say, nothing in this game comforts me more than seeing that visibility meter entirely blank. Like, that is just... It's the same feeling when you make it up the stairs back to your room after turning off the lights without being caught by the monster. It's such a relief. However, even if you're completely hidden, that doesn't mean the robots won't be able to see you. They can still find your ass even in the grass, especially if they're pursuing you. And that's not even to mention the existence of the most annoying motherfucker to have ever motherfucked, the goddamn balloon. And I think this is a good point to segue into talking about the different types of robots you'll encounter in this game. The main thing that challenges you besides the constantly ticking down vitality meter. And there are 9 variants of these in total. Yeah, we're like 42 minutes into the video and I'm just now gonna tell you about the main thread of the game. Rest assured that questionable formatting decision was 100% intentional to really immerse you in how stupid I am. But on to the robots, and since I mentioned it already, let's start with the balloon, the most passively annoying NPC in the entire game. Yeah, there's not gonna be any rhyme or reason to the order these are in, I'm just letting my ADHD pilot the writing. As the name of this one suggests, it is in fact an air balloon that floats in the air. Pretty straightforward name there, very unambiguous. Now this floaty McFucker is technically a more minor enemy in the game since it doesn't attack you itself. Its job is to travel across the map in a random pattern, seeking you out with a giant beam of light, which when you get caught in will sound an incredibly annoying and loud alarm to alert the other hunters your way. Pussy move honestly. This robot's entire purpose is to basically start a call outpost, but like IRL. And yes, this game is in fact real life. Now this is really funny to me because this sort of implies that the robot's hunt of you is much more serious than just pure entertainment. Like, they're not just hunting humans for the fucks of it, they're actively searching for, like, lawbreakers or something, which is also confirmed by the fact that the hunters do refer to you as a trespasser and an intruder. Fuck am I intruding on? But this means that they're not exactly killing you for no reason. In their creepy red eyes, they're actually defending their territory.
What am I, a fugitive from the law? Why the hell do you need an entire aircraft going after me? You're just hunting for sports. What is this?
Like, I really don't think they would be needing air reinforcements to just catch a slightly more sentient version of a deer, which naturally leads me to ask, just what is these robots' beef with the humanity, huh? Why are they such haters? Is this revenge for all those times that we made our computers look up furry porn? Because if yes, I am not sorry and I will do it again. A robot apocalypse is a worthy price to pay for some Sonato coitus. Actually, now that I think about it, these robots just showed up one day, destroyed an entire established civilization, and now treat the original owners of the land as trespassers on their territory. And they're British. Is this game like low-key a commentary on colonization? Because, damn, I really dug deep there. Now, while the balloon can't do more than just stand there like Tyler Cudebooker going, get 'em, it does have a special advantage in the form of higher ground. I mean, it's high off the ground, to be exact. It's flying. Can't reach him with my favorite weapon up there. Alas, I am defeated. My reign of terror has been stopped by a moderately paced air vehicle. And being this high allows this floating fuck to see you from literally anywhere on the map, including inside of your favorite grass. So even at your stealthiest, you're never safe from this thing specifically. Wow, I just wrote a sentence with both the words high and grass, and I didn't even make a weed joke. Not because I can't think of one, but because drugs are no joking matter. I take my drug use very seriously. But on top of being able to see you from literally anywhere, the balloon also has the power to move in utter silence, giving this buoyant butthole an advantage in the form of stealth, and allowing it to create some honestly hilarious moments when it manages to catch you completely off guard.
Oh my god, that was so tense. That was so clutch though. I fucking stealth like a boss. Hell yeah. I'm the stealth master. I'm a master stealther.
In my playthrough, the only instances where I got caught by the balloon were always when I had completely forgotten that it even existed. I swear, this thing is piloted by a freaking clown with impeccable comedic timing. He doesn't just want to catch me, he wants to do it specifically when it's the funniest. Kinda respect that, to be honest. Now, if you get caught by the balloon, it's not the end of the world yet, because contrary to what I previously said, this is only a video game and it doesn't have any tangible effect on the real world. And you can't just run away from it, as it isn't exactly moving at Sonic the Hedgehog speed. More like Subsonic the Snail speed. So it's not really that tough of an enemy to deal with. Also, you can shoot the robot piloting the balloon to temporarily disable it, if you suddenly feel like your gun has a little too much bullets. It's not necessary, but I do it anyway. It's not about strategy, it's about the principle. I just don't like his vibe. But I think I've said enough on the balloon. Overall, it's just an additional challenger to spice up your survival. It's never gonna be the main thing you're worried about. But what is the main thing you're worried about is our next robot type, the Hunter. As the name of this one suggests, it is in fact a hunter. And all they do is hunt. Again, very unambiguous name. The Hunter is the default robot type and by far the most common enemy you'll encounter. They're designed to look like the stereotypical English aristocrats, wearing fancy tweeds, top hats, and rocking some sick mustaches. Is it just me or are they kinda... Also, if you look closely at them, they appear to be smoking as well. Smoking hot, that is. And actually smoking, like cigarettes. Which is funny as hell because not only do these fucks not have lungs, but they don't even have mouths either. I have no mouth and I must smoke. This is so stupid. It's like the levels of Corvo and Terry from Solar Opposites having no penises or buttholes but still engaging in sex. Like, how are you doing that? And more importantly, why are you doing that? I will say this trait kind of works to further paint these robots as just mock-ups of human beings. Like, they don't just look like humans, dress like humans, or kill like humans. They're even mimicking the bad habits of the humans as well. And yes, I do realize that sentence structure implied killing isn't a bad habit. And that's because I actually happen to think it's pretty based when it's done to, like, for example, current president of the United States in Minecraft. Also, I do wonder how they even hold it in their faces without mouths. Is it like magnetized on? I like to imagine that it's actually just part of their face, like it's a built-in feature. This cancer came pre-installed. Whoever built these must have wanted them to basically self-destruct, and oh my god, I think I know who made them. Now, the Hunters are equipped with double-barrel shotguns, the weapon which they don't seem to be all that good at using as they can miss you pretty often. Honestly, once I realized how trash these steampunk stormtroopers can be, they kind of ceased being scary altogether, since it is in fact possible to just zigzag your way to safety from them.
How did you miss that?
It gets harder when there's a lot of them in one spot, and not because their skill gets any better, the likelihood of them hitting you just increases. But when there's like 2 or 3, the odds are, funnily enough, stacked in your favor. Especially if you have a hatchet and don't have to worry about your own aim being shit. I talk trash about their aim, but like, it takes one to know one. Now, these robots behave in pretty simple ways. They mostly just hang around the map, patrolling random areas in groups of 2 to 5. Maybe more, but I've never seen more than 5 in one group. When they don't see you, they're just hanging out and don't do much besides walk, sometimes into each other. This is the closest we'll ever get to gay sex in this game.
Those two look like they're about to make out. Look at them.
Sometimes they do this thing where they pull some busts out and just look at them, which at first I didn't know what that was about, but then I realized those might be the heads of their other human victims, which makes this pretty damn morbid. This game doesn't have any gore in it, so seeing the Hunters admire the severed heads of other humans they've killed is by far the most visceral part of the game. It's kinda makes you think they're probably like bad guys or something. Also, unlike the air balloon, which is completely silent until it spots you, these guys are talking loudly and lotsly. I swear, if you think I'm a yapper, well, I am, but at least I make sense. These guys are just cycling through meaningless phrases like, hello, how are you? Resume the hunt. Find the intruder. Make America great again. And this is a trait of theirs that I actually like for 2 reasons. The first is the storytelling reason, because it further sells them as just replicas of humans. These tin cans aren't making conversation, they're just playing vaguely human phrases to simulate a discussion. They're not a new sentient life form capable of thinking or reasoning, they're just empty machines carrying out a program. And the second reason is gameplay reason, because them yapping so much makes it really easy to notice them from afar and thus avoid them. Seriously, these dudes are loud with a capital L, with an extra emphasis on the capital L because they're losers! I honestly really like that stealth in this game doesn't go both ways. Your character is described as wearing tweeds that help to hide you, and they never talk or make noises except for when you do it by shooting guns or playing the trombone for some reason. I don't know why you would need to do that in this setting. Spice up your panic attack with a trombone. The robots, on the other hand, are always out in the open. They never sneak or shut the fuck up, and they also have really bright red eyes that give them away for miles. It's almost comical how bad these guys are at being sneaky. They seem to be doing everything in their power to actually be seen. Call me senpai the way these bitches want me to notice them. Good god, that joke just made me age like another 10 years. And again, again, I do like this element because it balances these guys out really well. They're usually always hanging out in groups of at least 2, and they also seem to possess infinite ammo, so they always have an advantage when they do see you. So making it easier for you to see them is a really good move. Also, I don't know for sure if they have infinite ammo. I'm just going off the time I decided to start fucking around after I had just saved and proceeded to run circles around these idiots, and they kept missing me because they suck and I slept with their mom. But they never seem to run out of ammo, so safe to assume their supply is never ending. Now, by far the most interesting thing these guys do in the game is after a certain point, they start to guard the fallen device pieces to make it more difficult to collect them, which is kinda scary to be honest, because it implies that they do possess some level of intelligence to understand the importance of these things, making me wonder why they aren't smart enough to patrol around the boats or the standing stones. Like, come on, this seems like a no-brainer. I mean, I'm glad they don't do that, because that would just make saving in this game even more inaccessible, but still, the nerd in me is seething that they don't do this. 0 out of 5 stars, the robots aren't annoying enough. But yeah, that's all I have to say for the hunters, the main enemy of this game. Overall, these are the guys that pose a permanent threat throughout the entire experience, and as you progress through the game, there will also be more and more of them spawning everywhere, as well as after a certain point, they'll be sometimes accompanied by another robot type, the Hound. Again, like the name of this one implies, these are hounds. Hunt dogs. As in the dogs that hunt. That's it. Don't you just love how straightforward this game is? Like, you're not gonna get a robot called MAGA whose core trait is respecting minorities and being able to have sex with women. Now, the hounds would typically accompany groups of hunters, but sometimes can also appear on their own, and they are so annoying to deal with, good god. Like I said, I don't think they can be killed with a hatchet, so my favorite weapon takes a huge L here. Either that or I'm really bad at using it on them. And they're really hard to shoot at since they're moving constantly. It's like they've got an active jackhammer up their ass. Stand still, I'm trying to kill ya, god damn it. Now, according to the wiki, these robots have a greater awareness than the hunters, so they can spot you from further away. And the game also implies that they can smell you, which that isn't impressive. Anyone can smell me after the amount of times I've shit myself. But in actuality, I didn't really find them any harder to hide away from. They're mostly annoying when they do notice you because they start barking to alert the other robots your way, and they pounce at you to temporarily immobilize you. And while they don't kill you or hurt you that much themselves, they give enough time for any hunters accompanying them an opportunity to literally kick you while you're down. So these things don't pose a major threat on their own. They function similarly to the balloon, as they're mostly a problem when combined with the other robots, but I still don't like them because they really stress me out due to how hard it is to aim at them. My aim is already trash, you don't need to make it harder for me. I swear, at several points during my playthrough, I took an L purely because a piece of the device was guarded by 2 robots and 1 whole dog. This single metallic flea bag is capable of fucking up my entire run. This is why I'm a cat person. Fuck these dogs. I usually don't take any joy in killing animals in video games, but this is one instance when I actually felt like celebrating when I managed to kill a hound a whole 1 time.
I did it. I did it. I don't know how, but I did it. I caught the dog.
But overall, that's all I have to say on the dogs. I don't want to talk about them anymore. They're awful, I hate them, and they're bad boys. Yes, I said it, they're bad boys. Boo! But our next type of robot is actually a lot more lovable, surprisingly. Yeah, not all robots in this game actively trigger a visceral reaction in me, and this is definitely the case for the squires. These are by far the most distinct looking robots in the game, if you ignore all the other distinct looking robots in the game. They're big, well-dressed fellas with tiny red dots for eyes instead of the usual glowing visors, which makes them look both goofy and lovable, and at the same time kinda unsettling and creepy, like, yeah. And stop staring at me with them tiny old eyes. Now, you may think that not having the glowing visors would make them harder to spot, but I didn't find that to be the case at all, since for one, they're huge, almost as big as your mom, and two, just like the other robots, they're loud as balls. You know how balls are famously very loud? They have a distinctly
deeper voice than the regular hunters,
which makes it easy to tell them apart, but also they stand out with the fact that they only spawn in the villages, and for the most part, they don't go anywhere else. So you're never in any danger to run into one of these in the big wide open, which actually makes me kinda sad because I love these dudes and I actually want there to be more of them. Now, these have a trait that is completely unique to them, and that they're the only robots who aren't hostile towards you by default. For these guys to attack you, you gotta earn it. When you don't provoke them, they're just chilling in the village, walking around, talking about what a lovely day it is and singing to themselves. Is he singing Who Let the Dogs Out? So how can you not love these guys? They're just so unproblematic. The only way they'll attack you is if you initiate combat yourself by either attacking them or just holding a weapon in your hands, at which point you only got yourself to blame. Or if they catch you looting the houses around them. You see, the village in which they reside is their turf, and everything that is found there is not free to take, so if you want to be a little thief, you'll have to be sneaky about it. Also, I don't know why, but during one of my playthroughs, one squire just proceeded to square up with me completely unprompted. Like, this one just woke up and chose violence. I didn't even have a weapon in my hand, so what's his problem? My only guess is maybe this dude was just transphobic and this is like female-only space or something.
You will be annihilated.
Now, when it comes to fighting these guys, they're noticeably more difficult than the regular hunters. For starters, since they're big boys, they're a lot more durable, and they also happen to have a much better aim than the hunters.
Ironic, isn't it?
You may notice I don't have any footage of me killing a squire, but plenty of footage of a squire killing me, and that's because I never managed to kill one. I mean, I tried, but I never succeeded. Partially because they're just too Sigma, and partially because I kinda don't want to kill them. Just look at them, they're so cute. I'm sorry, sir, I'll leave you alone. You are the single ray of sunshine in this permanent overcast, and we could really do with more kindness in this world. Okay, let's leave the squires to their business and move along to the next type of loner robot who actually will square up with you unprompted. The poachers. These guys are already kinda despicable based off their name alone. Like, they're not just hunters, they're illegal hunters. Like, at least the other robots are killing people within the confines of the law, apparently. I don't know. I don't know what the technical difference between a hunter and a poacher is in this context. I would say all hunters are technically poachers, but whatever. Now, these guys usually appear after you visit your second or third island, and they only spawn in the little woodland areas in the groups of one. And yes, one is still a group if it's the people you perceive as dangerous. That's what the American police has taught me. They only pose a new challenge in the sense that they eliminate the safety of the little woodland areas, but to be fair, it's not exactly that safe of an area to begin with. It doesn't hide you as well as the good old grass does. But these guys make it even worse by not only patrolling them, but also placing bear traps there as well. Keyword here is bear traps, because they never caught a human in it. I always crawl so low to the ground that it's impossible for me to miss these. Yeah, you tried, buddy, and you failed miserably. The lesson is, never try. Now, I actually never encountered a poacher in my playthrough, which is honestly a good thing because I kinda hate them. And before you ask me how can I hate someone if I've never interacted with them, I don't know, man. Alpha bros do that with women, so... And also, do you remember when I said I've never actually encountered a poacher in my playthrough? Because that was not a lie, surprisingly. Yeah, I actually didn't. But do you also remember when I said that I didn't lie about never encountering a poacher in my playthrough? 'Cause that was a lie. Honestly, I kinda lied about hating these guys as well. They're actually pretty adorable. They're these tiny little dudes with massive eyes who walk around singing to themselves in a high-pitched mosquito-ass voice like they've got not a care in the world.
It's the poacher. Yeah, there he is. Tiny little fella. He's just a small guy. Just a silly little guy. You wouldn't hurt a silly little guy, would ya? I would.
And when you kill them, they straight up sound like Wall-E. Aw, no, that's just precious. You're so cute when you're dead, just like the current president of the United States. But that's all I have to say on these little dudes. I know I'm a yapper, but I genuinely don't have much more to add here. I barely ever encountered these guys and they don't really do much, so... yeah, let's just move on to the next type of robot. And we're going back to the less lovable types and to the ones that is just kind of insufferable. The goddamn writer. The scariest bastard in this entire game. Appearance-wise, they look very similar to the hunters. Same fuckable robot twinks, maybe dressed a bit fancier. But instead of being armed with shotguns, they're armed with pure, raw equestrian power. Yeah, that horse they're riding on isn't just their vehicle, it's their weapon as well. Which... now that I said that out loud can be the case for any vehicle, like cars especially. Man, we really normalized using actual boxes of explosives to get around, didn't we? Now, when the riders see you, they proceed to absolutely ram their scary stallion full force into you, which immobilizes you temporarily while also damaging you with the fire from the horse's jet engine. That's a bit of an overkill, don't you think, buddy? I'm already not having a good time here. I can't lie. That is metal as fuck. They don't even hunt you, they just commit vehicular manslaughter. That's pretty sick, dude. I will admit, when I started playing this game for this video, I was dreading meeting these guys the most, to the point that when I finally did, I damn near shit my pants not in Minecraft. But after playing with them for honestly just 5 minutes, I kind of realized that they're not really that bad to deal with. For starters, just like the other robots, they're easy to spot from afar and thus avoid, and they can also be killed pretty easily. Yeah, remember when I said you probably can't kill them with a hatchet? I'll give you 10 guesses for what I'm about to say next. The lesson of this video is that you should never believe anything I say. So yeah, these guys are kinda losers. Call them riders the way they're riding on this dirt. There is one element of theirs that kinda stresses me out a little bit, and that is the sounds that they are making. These guys sound like a damn train and a truck horn at the same time, and those happen to be the noises that always cause me immense stress due to my persistent medical condition called autism. So yeah, I don't like them just because of that alone. Gameplay wise, they're kind of anticlimactic. I honestly thought they'd be harder to deal with. Like, for example, it would make sense for them to be harder to run away from given that they're on a horse with jet engines. But in reality, they're kind of piss babies and I slept with their mom and their dad. Literally the definition of a bark and no bite. Now let's talk about the technically most dangerous robot in the entire game. The landlord. Sorry, the landowner. Oh, that's even worse. Now this fella is kinda like the final boss of Sir, you are being crucified for our sins. Save for the part where you can't actually defeat him because this motherfucker is actually indestructible. Just like my actual landlord. He just won't die. Now these guys actually look the least like robots. They seem more like actual cryptids or eldritch beasts. They appear like massive, peanut M&Ms who strun around the island accompanied by 2 dogs while making really weird noises. I don't know how to describe the sound they're making, but it sounds like penguins having intercourse with elephants. Like, just listen to it. See? Now thankfully, these guys are continuing the trend of all robots being easy to spot. They're really big and easy to see from afar, and they're loud as balls, so they're not hard to stay away from, and staying away is by far the only way to deal with them, since when they approach you, they just one-shot your ass with no way to fight back. Thankfully, they're not really fast. In fact, it's seemingly implied that they might have some trouble walking, given that they need to use a cane, which is kind of baller, honestly. This means not only did someone intentionally create a robot that is basically an SCP, but they also intentionally created a robot with a literal disability. Fucking hell yeah, bro. This is the rep we need. Now that cane isn't just their mobility device, it's the thing that they use to kill you as well, which is honestly metal as fuck, bro. More disabled people should just kill people with their mobility devices, especially if those people are the current president of the United States. By the way, a little fun fact, my sister calls these things nuts because they look like nuts. And as someone with nuts, I can confirm that is exactly what they look like. Limbs and dogs included. Now when I started playing this game for the video, the landowners were yet another thing that I was dreading to come across, but just like with the riders, they ended up being more anticlimactic than anything. Yes, I did die to them like 2 times, but one of them was just due to me being stupid and not leaving when I should have, and the second was when I got cornered. On their own, I didn't find them any troubling to deal with. Again, like with every other robot, they're really easy to notice from afar and thus avoid. So they're kind of like sharks. Yes, they do kill you in one shot if you get close, but like, just don't go where the shark is and you'll be fine. So that's all on the landowners. Let's now conclude the section with the final 2 robots that I have the least to say about, since they're kind of just they don't really do much at all. The first is the Scarecrow. These will spawn in the fields, and if you approach them, they will activate and proceed to make noises to attract the other robots to your location. They function as the weeping angels from Doctor Who, in that if you turn away from them, they'll follow you, so the only way to lose them is to maintain eye contact as you walk backwards, making them a perfect enemy for my socially awkward autistic brain. Also, they can be killed with an axe and they drop an edible pumpkin, so the Scarecrow is effectively the only robot in this game that you can literally eat. I don't know what that adds to my experience with this game, but it's there. You can eat the Scarecrow. This has been my dream ever since I read Wizard of Oz. And lastly, we have the Kraken, which is just robot tentacles. Hot. This is by far the least interesting robot. They appear when you get close to the water, and sometimes they can damage you on shore, the little bastards. And kind of like the landowners, they can't be killed either, so yeah, just don't go where the water is and you'll never have to worry about these dudes in your playthrough. But yeah, those are the robots of Sir, You Are Being Reduced to Atoms. Overall, there really isn't much more I can say about them. The main way to deal with all of them is to just avoid them. Some can be killed, some can be distracted, and none can be befriended or gay-sexed, but all do pose some type of threat to you in this world. Now, I really don't know what else to add for this section, as, like I said already, this game is very simple and rudimentary. It's a straightforward stealth survival. There aren't really many interesting ways to engage with the gameplay mechanic, no lore to explore, and the world is really samey and bland. And I know that makes it sound like I think this is a bad game, and I do think it has room to be better, but like I said, I do still really like it. I think it does have a certain charm to it. It's simple and straightforward, but sometimes that's all you really need to be, and that's fine. And I really do think that the substance of this game really is in its gameplay. Even though I just told you everything that this game has to offer, I do recommend that you give it a go if you haven't. If not for the gameplay, then simply for the incredibly luminal and apocalyptic atmosphere that this game creates with its environments and music. Like, seriously, this shit's straight up addictive to play with. I love it so much. I admit, I feel like I kind of backed myself into a corner here because I really thought I'd have more to say. Even more than I already did, surprisingly, because this game has held a place in my heart for so long that I really thought I'd discover so much more stuff about it when I decided to make a video about it. I thought it would be a big deal when I finally managed to overcome my fear of this game and stick around with it long enough to beat it. But as I sat there looking at the final cutscene at the end of the game, I realized that there is much less to this game than I originally thought. It's not as hard as I remember it being, and it's not as scary either. It's not deep or complex, but somehow it's still good enough for me to care about it, and to keep engaging with it, hoping there would be something more to it. Now, before I conclude, I didn't know where to add this, but I do want to talk about the graphics real quick. They have a bit of a dated look to them, but like, in a pretty good way. I think they strike a perfect blend of gloomy realism and cartoonish charm, and even though they're all really bland, they're still kind of fun to look at. I should also mention, the graphics you'll be seeing in my video are on the lowest possible setting, since my computer is old, tired, and dying, and runs the game about as smoothly as a sandpaper condom, so my video isn't gonna do this game's graphic any justice, and that is my way of saying, go play it yourself. But yeah, that's my thoughts on this game. I don't think this game is flawless. In fact, I'd say it's deeply flawed, but I also can't lie, I do like it. Although I do realize that could just be my nostalgia making me talk out of my ass, but I don't care. But with that said, I've somehow ran out of things to say here. Thank you for hearing me out. I don't know how to end videos, so I'm just gonna go plop the last piece of the device into the stones and chill to some funky British rap. Bye!